being raised in New York City, it's easy to get this mentality that like New York is like the capital of the world, you know, and in many ways it is the greatest city in the world. But it's also really important to go outside of that comfort zone of being in like the best place in the world and seeing other people, other places, you know, other countries, and just understanding like your place on planet Earth. And I think that very basic element should feed into good design. My birth name is Jeff Ng, but nowadays I'm known as Jeff Staple. I'm the founder and creative director of a company called Staple Design, and we do a couple of different things. One major part of our company is that we're a menswear collection, so we're a young men's fashion brand that's distributed all over the world now. We also have a creative agency where we work with different clients from all over the world in various aspects of marketing, product development, communications, ideation, consulting. And then we also have a retail store called Reed Space, which is located in the Lower East Side of New York. We have 2 locations down there. Good design should really be able to be translated to almost any culture, any language, any people, irrespective of sort of how rich or poor or educated or not educated they are. Really great design just shoots through all of that, right? So I think it's always important for me to like see that all the time. And my fuel for inspiration comes from going around the world, you know. One of the reasons why I've been going to China in the past couple of years is to do talks. And the kids are so thirsty. And I always say that when the Chinese youth figure out what they want to say, they already make everything for everybody, right? From the biggest brand to the smallest brand, they make it for everybody. So once they figure out like what it is that they want to express and say, it's kind of over for us. Like they don't need us anymore. Like they're gonna have the coolest things created, thought of, and manufactured all in the same place. They're not gonna need to import any culture or anything. They don't need me to do talks anymore, you know? When it comes to illustration, what I've seen as a trend is a more unrefined look that's been happening. So people are finding the beauty in what comes straight out of a sketchbook. So it's like, forget the vector, pixel points, and like super clean stuff. Like, let's just scan it out of my moleskin and that's it. That's the way my illustration's gonna look, you know? And I see a lot of illustrators sort of exhibiting that kind of work, that like this is just my work, you know, it's like a sketch thing, and I really like it because I want to see the process. I want to see the messy mistakes and all that stuff. So now I think you're seeing artists that are sort of just more like scratchety and raw, and like, you know, you could actually see the artistic process in that, and I like that. We start with very top level 35,000 foot ideas. So the concept is sometimes very, very abstract. For example, the Ivy League was a recent one. So I was just into this concept of this group of schools that in America has decided to call themselves the Ivy League schools, and what that means to all education. So the fact that there's like a first class level of education. And so I might say something just like that to my design team, and then they'll go off and they'll start researching, and I will research as well. Like, what does Ivy League look like? What does not Ivy League look like? You know, historical references, image references, and then it starts. So then it starts up there, and then it goes down to image references. We do our research, and then that's where it starts to then say like, okay, how does this boil into a fashion collection, right? Nobody wants to wear a button-down shirt that says the Ivy League. Like, no one. You still have to wear clothes that like are wearable, right? But then, so you take elements and you start pulling pieces out that might work out in a fashion brand. Usually that comes down to this. And then what we'll do is we'll go back up to the top and pull very direct clues of what we were referencing back into the line. So that might come as like a little label, or like something on the inside, or like a small like you know, double pocket or something like that. There might be a direct reference to something, and that's how a line is really created. Now by the time it gets to the bottom, which is like the end user, you know, a shirt on a hanger in a store, hell, at that point the customer probably has no idea that like this was influenced by this concept of education and like the Ivy League versus free education. Maybe not, but it's in there if you look deep enough, and it's in there if you follow us and follow our collaterals and everything. And I think the process that we've been working with for like over a decade now has worked. I'm also a great student. Like I look at other brands and I look at unsuccessful brands probably more so than I look at successful brands, because I want to learn from people's mistakes, you know. Whereas a lot of other people, I feel like they're so enamored by like success stories that, you know, you can't just keep looking at success stories. You're not going to learn anything. It worked for that guy, but it's not going to work for you, you know. So I'm always looking and making adjustments, and I'm just really passionate about what I do. So it's not a chore for me to constantly have my eye on this game, you know, like it's something that I wake up and I love doing, and not because I'm trying to be like a retired, you know, mogul from this. I'm actually trying to figure out how to feed like the 35 people that work for us and like make sure that they have a happy life, and I'm actually hoping that they can retire from Staple happily, while also making this fan base that we've collected over the past, you know, almost 20 years, making them sort of proud representatives of something that we created. And I'm trying to sort of figure that out on a constant daily basis.